Yo, PZPs, welcome to the second edition of the Project Zomboid X-Files, where we discuss the many mysteries and unexplained phenomenon of Project Zomboid. So, joining me today is Pancakes, you know him from last time, and today we have Ravenum. Welcome, Ravenum, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Today we'll be talking about the secret military base, or the secret government base, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you don't know about it, the developers updated the official Project Zomboid map, so check it out. It's west of Rosewood. Yeah, so we're going into our initial reactions to part of this series. So the kind of reputation with it, you know, with especially with the PC map update, like it was like before it was updated. Have you ever visited the government base, secret government base? Because, you know, back then it wasn't on the Build 39 map. So, Pancakes and Ravenum. When you first, think back when you first visited it, what was your, like, kind of initial reaction to it?
Well, I'd say my reaction when I came into the parking lot was that there was a large amount of zombies there, especially because I showed up the first time in single player by myself.
Did you really go far into it, or were you just kind of like you just running around the building?
I did drive around to the back end, so I entered from the back where the elevator is.
Yeah,
but I did not make it too far in because I was bit. That was the resting place of that character.
Yeah, it seems like the base is like one of those final resting places for many characters where they've gotten been somewhere else on the map and like, oh, we'll go to this area, or I know this area has a lot of zombies, so I'm just gonna go and just like screw around and die. What about you, Pancakes? What was when did you first visit the base?
The first time, at least single player wise, my initial reaction was I'm probably going to die. Because when I went through that parking lot, I didn't get the really good RNG of it being mostly empty.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to deal with the fact that I didn't even have car kill. I just literally kited them all. It was pretty successful, to be honest. I was surprised I was even able to clear it out the way that I did, but I got lucky, I guess. And I would say I was going through the entire base section by section and clearing it off. I was both paranoid because there were so many different angles that they could have came from, and then I'm sure you guys already know this by now, but you know, like the dark hallway that kind of like connects it from the other side. It's like the creepy hallway in a scary movie. It's one of those things where you kind of like you either like rush through it or you kind of let the zombies trickle in. Overall, I would say I enjoyed like exploring it. I would say there's more interesting locations in my opinion, but there are like some unique stuff you can come across.
Yeah, the dark hallway. It slowly becomes the bloody hallway when you keep on battling zombies there. It's just like corpses everywhere, blood on the walls. It's just it's definitely a hallway out of a horror movie.
Check out the remote play run if you want to see how bloody it gets.
Yeah, where we and give them the base a good attack. But yeah, my first time visiting, it was back in Build 40. It was when 41 was out, but I was infected at the time. So again, it's one of those places where many infected players go. And I went there and stole all the computers into the car, and then brought it back to the safe house. Well, it was in multiplayer, and so everyone was so surprised. Oh, where did you get all these computers? Oh yeah, and I did so covertly that no one like people were like wondering like, where'd you go? Our base was like in Rosewood, so it wasn't that far of a drive.
I remember too. You pretty much came back and you just dropped off all the computers. You're like, "See ya," and then you went and died.
Yeah.
Well, that was nice of you, Peach. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we'll go into the facts where we're just not talking about any theories or anything, just straight facts of the matter. So the government base was an addition that was added in Build 40, and again, was a secret location. It was not on the map they had. They went updated from build 39, waited a few years, and updated now in build 41. And it was one of the, I don't want to say many, but there was one of the numerous secret locations out there. It was probably the biggest one. So, first of all, it's a base. Well, I know that's people like to debate the fine line of what the terminology of what this is considered, but in the file zombie zones definition.lua, there's this area of land is referred to as quote unquote secret base. So it's a base, and it's definitely secret. Well, I mean, it used to be secret, but I guess in the game it's secret. And so yeah, now if it's a part of the military or if it's part of the military or government, that's up to debate. However, if you look deeper into that function where it defines it as a secret base, you would see that it spawns quote unquote army instructor, which the only other place that spawns an army instructor is the Kingsmouth military base or army base. So one can definitely infer that from this information, this base is a military base. With that said, what have you guys found? We'll start with you, Pancakes.
All right. Well, if you ever think about it, when you're traveling the map and you go into these like cubicle office areas, you notice one thing that's out of place. And what do you guys think that is?
What, the computers?
Chicken butt?
Yeah, they lack computers, which you would think that that all these locations would have one.
93.
They would have access to at least like something like IBM's or something.
You'd have 386s.
But yeah, the only place you could find them is the military base in specific spots. There's like 2 different office buildings, I think, or is it just one? Right, that's just like full of computers.
Yeah, there's like 2 offices full of computers. Yeah.
And then you have non-interactable objects such as the blood bank. Yeah, the blood bank. There are like 4 of them, and they're like little black boxes, kinda. Yeah. Then you have like the satellite dishes and the giant generators, which is like all the way up like the north-ish side.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's like a boiler room of some kind too, right next to that. The giant generators. I'm not sure what it is though.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it. You want to add anything, Ravenham?
I think you basically covered it all.
Uh,
Besides the chair, there's the room with the chair that was unmentioned.
the interrogation room.
Oh yeah, the interrogation room.
Yes.
You don't find many of those in Project Zomboid.
You only find them really in the police stations. Only maybe like one of them, like the Rosewood police station. I think it has something similar to that. But
Yeah.
yeah, the military base has a lot of objects, as we just mentioned, that only appear there. Like if I know I have a little bit of experience of going into the mapping, making a mod of a map mod, and of course there's a whole lot of different textures and objects relating to the secret military base, such as like the satellite dishes. Has used a lot of little, I guess you can say objects, or a better word would be assets, and all this stuff is just. It makes you wonder, right? Why they make this so special for something so secret, you know? So that now we're drifting off. We're going into the theory. So it's time to put on our tinfoil hats and go into the theories section of the video.
I'm always wearing a tinfoil hat. Got my other hat underneath here that you guys can't see.
Next time, Ravenham. Next time. All right. So why do you think the secret military base was added? First off,
I'm gonna let Ravenham take the floor on this one.
My instant theory is to do with the television in the game,
mm-hmm.
where it mentions that they were doing testing 30 years prior.
Well, which TV
Secret
show does it
military testing. It's in one of the default. I can't remember,
You can't remember
which
which one.
if
It was-
it was which news network it was, but in one of the shows it comes up. It actually talks about it.
say that? How early
And-
on? Do you know? Is it kind of early on, or in the middle, or late?
I don't remember
Okay.
which day it was.
I'll look
it's just,
into it. Yeah.
It's we'll have access to it. There's a Reddit post that actually broke down all the text, let alone just actually digging into the code. But they do mention that it was a previous area, like site of military testing.
Yeah.
So that's where my assumption has been that it's directly tied to the outbreak.
All right, what do you think, Pancakes? Why do you think they added this?
Well, I'm sure you're aware of the elevator, like Ravenham mentioned earlier for his first experience. I was thinking that if elevators were functional in some way, you'd have like this vast underground area, which, like Ravenham mentioned, actually were the origin of everything. Like Patient Zero would be locked away in some kind of like room, maybe with like a unique like experiment, like a like a test subject of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, like maybe one day I'm thinking that they could add like actual like little tidbits, like little notes here and there that vaguely hint at the idea that maybe it's the government's fault, or
Yeah. A little,
Like
a little
China.
paper trail where the character kind of maybe piece things together a few months in,
maybe on the
wh-
computers too, because they're going to be adding functionality.
Oh,
to it.
yeah. And I look forward to that day. Or that year.
It'll take like 5 minutes to boot up or something in real life time, just because 1993 simulation anyway.
I actually I had a 386 and they weren't as slow as people think they were.
Yeah.
They actually booted up quite fast. The Windows 3.11.
You
Yeah,
just had to
it was
really
only
get
20
there.
seconds, right
Okay.
from start to finish, with the DOS prompt and everything,
All right.
Oh well.
because it wasn't running as many background processes.
Yeah.
So actually, your modern Windows is slower. Well, the Windows 10 is better than like when we had Windows 7 in that era.
So, I mean, we kind of were leading to this, but where the heck does the elevator lead? Obviously,
Well-
we know from our run, our remote playthrough, so go check it out, that it has just an empty room. It leads nowhere, literally nowhere. But, so we were talking about, right? Does it lead down to a secret lab? What do you think?
Well, based on what I know about Zomboid's code, it leads to nowhere because it's impossible to put a basement in, because
If
that's
you
the base
had-
level.
If you had to like put your imagination.
Well, they would have to raise everything up one level.
Make
To the next layer.
cars work on level 1 now. Yeah, that's the biggest limitation is the cars.
Imagine if Zomboid never had cars. Do you think the basements would have been in the game at that point?
Mm, Possibly. The issue would have been that they built the map first, like the original section of the map, which became
Yeah.
Moldra, was always built on level 0. That's always been the issue. They basically prevented themselves from going that direction.
Yeah, and plus
Immediately
people wanted
without-
cars, for the longest time. Yeah, it was never really a road they were going to go down anyway. They couldn't keep delaying it.
Now, what I did notice in some mods is that one way the mods have gone about that is they use the same effect as the hangars, or whatever you want to call them, in Moldra, like in the train yard, where they angled up for one level, and then you have that level, and then you go downstairs into an area. So it's possible to add to it. It's like say to add a large area like that, but you would have to modify the map.
Yeah, they'll
Quite a
have
bit.
to really. If they raised that whole base up one level, and then kind of did the same way like they do the Moldra train yard, they could do that. They could actually make and put in a basement, if you will, and it'll be like
That-
on level 0. So
Depth
maybe
higher up.
they should do that. And have like maybe like a staircase going up, like a kind of a metal or maybe concrete staircase going up, kind of make it look I don't know.
The other option would to have it where when you say if you did manage to sledgehammer down the door like we did in our playthrough, make sure everybody watches it, and like smash the like button. But would be if they made it like an area with like darkness with like black tiles, as opposed so you can't walk out into it, and coded it say as like the same as the water tile, and then maybe had like an event where you could just hear screaming. Or zombies. That would make it. That's one way of avoiding having to ever go down there, but add more to the backstory.
Yeah, just black tiles that you can't walk into it. Yeah, that would definitely add a whole lot more lore to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think the base has the blood banks? What's the purpose for the blood banks?
I think that supports my theory in general about the whole patient zero stuff. Because, like, why would this random military base have not only these, like, very... Like, they only have two like, areas for a doctor or nurse, supposedly, to come in. And then they have, like... I don't know if you've noticed, but the rooms next to the blood banks are kind of, like, all white and weird looking. But yeah, I think that supports the theory of the whole, like, patient zero, something went down in general. Or it could have been or you could say the boring thing where they just did blood tests for people that were working there.
I would venture to say that based on that this is the Nox contamination or the Nox event, the way it's described that this is the initial outbreak and it starts before it spreads. It would be why I would say I would assume that it would point to that it started in this in this area, that this is where the patient zero is from. It is somewhere in Nox, country or county.
I have something. Something specific, actually. Have you? I mean, I know that this could be a game thing, and not really a lore thing. But at least if I'm gonna go with the tinfoil hat mode, I mean, have you ever noticed how it's like there's an unusual amount of civilians there?
Well, it spawns. Let's see. I had the file up. One sec.
Well, the distribution tables spawn a certain percentage of randomized civilian zombies everywhere, no matter what. Yeah. So even if you have specialized zombies in an area, like say a pharmacy or whatever zone, it'll still spawn the standard ones. So that is a game, possibly just a gameplay issue. Although in the game, usually by the time you've gotten to the secret military base, like the earliest you can get there is say within 14 or 15 hours of the first day, which is day 0, which is what, 2 or 3 days.
Faster, you're like even more lucky.
Yeah, and that's 2 or 3 days after the contamination, like the fence has been put up around Nox country by the U.S. military. So at this point, the outbreak has already been ongoing for at least a week, one would assume. When you think about the logistics of mobilizing, back then too, it's 93. There's more than likely there's still a division, possibly stationed at Fort Knox, at the very, or they would move a division in, like something like one of the armored divisions would, or a mechanized infantry division would quickly redeploy into this area. So we're looking at probably close to a week for that to happen. And I do know in real life, Louisville, Kentucky, the airport downtown, it's still used by the U.S. Air Force as well. So even with having a logistical hub like that, a pre-existing logistical hub there, it would still take some time to mobilize the resources, like to put the fences up, to man the fences, and then if you follow the news reports too as the game progresses, they actually discuss how the people are fighting the military at the fences in order to escape.
Yeah.
So I would assume that this has taken place over more days than just the day that you get that report, that these people more than likely were near that fence for probably close to 5 days at that point before they decided to try and push out.
Mm-hmm.
So, why does the game start on July 9th then? Since is it like how far do you think the game? The apocalypse is in? I mean, that's just kind of unrelated here, but I mean, kind of relating to right now. So,
I would say
I believe it's 3 days or so. I think it's either 3 days or 4 days or something when you actually like physically spawn in the world. I'm not sure.
no, it's July 9th.
Yeah, but it's the question is how many days was it before that the fences went up 3 days, 2 or 3 days before the 9th, so that takes it down to the 7th, and then we must assume that the infection would have taken place before this for them to mobilize. So that takes us back to what, the 4th of July at the latest.
Maybe.
Happy Independence Day.
Yeah.
They could have also been evacuating civilians if you think about it, but they all got bodied. Anyways.
I'd hazard to say that it's quite possible that they were after the outbreak. Possibly, if they had pre-existing knowledge of the virus, they might have just been using people as experiments in order possibly to create a virus or to look for the antibodies.
And then it backfired. And then
and they couldn't control it. Yeah.
Or it was out of control in the first place, and then they started doing the experiments no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it would all because the issue is it just a gameplay issue for the population density, and I think that I would hazard to say that it's for gameplay reasons.
Yeah.
Not for anything like I myself. I don't believe that the large population at the military base is due to, say, a pre-existing population from a basement, for example.
Yeah.
In that area, I think it's strictly for gameplay reasons. Same reason why Lickskillet and Necron have large populations, even though in real life they have very small populations.
Mm-hmm.
It's to protect the gun stores.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that if you look at it from of course, we do know the code. We do know that the code does distribute civilian zombies throughout the world, no matter what. But if you're if you're just some regular player, you could kind of make up your own story when you see it for the first time. It's kind of interesting when you look about it because when you go along the trail, you as you get closer to the military base, it's almost as if there was a bunch of civilians that were trying to make their way there. You could just picture it in your head where they're trying to make it there, but they didn't make it. And then as you progress further, it's more dense because maybe there was more that successfully managed to evacuate to that area.
I feel that's the success of the story is by that what the developers have done is by saying as little as possible, because it allows the player themselves to create a backstory. Mm-hmm. Whereas if they spelled everything out, it would lose the mystery of the infection.
Yeah. To add on to the civilians, right? So I have it up here that the secret base spawns at least one priest, one mandatory priest. I've
actually found them. I've found it on my playthrough. Before.
It spawns office workers. Half as common as the regular camo military zombie, and then it spawns doctors too. So along with the general population. That's kind of, and you have all the army zombies. So yeah, that's that is the kind of consistency of the hordes there.
And like you mentioned earlier, the only spot outside of Kingsmouth with the army general,
Yeah,
the
army
one that wears
instructor.
the helmet. Yeah, I think it's an Air Force general, the helmet or something like that. But he wears a distinctive helmet with the versus the other military
yeah.
helmets.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I know
another
what you're
one.
talking
There's
about,
Army
yeah.
Instructor M. It's called.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two army instructors. Yeah, I mean we can venture out into that. Like, was that plainly made just to be like a fun map or a fun tourist
Oh,
map?
it's strictly a challenge map.
Yeah.
Because it was created by Zonix and
Yeah.
created afterwards, and there's no mention of lore in it.
Mhm.
Same thing with
Yeah.
the studio. It's
Yeah,
the same thing. It created by once again by Zonix as a challenge map.
yeah, and plus Studio, it involves totally different zombies. It's kind of like just
yeah.
like a kind of a fun one-off, if you will. Thank you, Pancakes and Rabidum, for joining me in this Project Zomboid X-Files episode.
Thanks for having me.
I only have one thing to say before we go.
And that is...
You just have to say the word.
What?
Kicking butt.
You gotta have one of
You should
those.
have left it with the silence though.
I'll just take the bait this time around. You gotta have one of those like clown horns or something. Like honk right afterwards, and just kind of make a whole little show of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys
See ya.
next time.